So, what is something that a young adult should be careful of when they're on this fitness journey?
Every single illness, maybe 99.9%, start in the mind. It starts at the level of thought, it starts at the level of emotion.
Bollywood काफी हद तक define करता है how we see fitness.
Bollywood is not doing that. Bollywood is doing its job. Bollywood never say, come, be like me. A Tiger Shroff, a Vidyut Jamwal, they are doing what they're doing for their profession. It's our fault that we get influenced.
What would you recommend to someone, 20s, 30s, कि आप चालू कैसे करो? And what is some practical expectations?
You start today. Start with 10 minutes. Let the body get used to it. Let it first become a routine.
So great. A very warm welcome,
Thank you.
Shivohaam ji. Thank you so much for coming. Absolute honor and pleasure. And really deep gratitude that I'm able to have this
Thank you.
conversation with you today. How's your day been? How's
Day's been
Delhi
good.
been treating you?
Delhi is good. Day's been perfect.
Are you from Delhi? Are you from Mumbai?
Bombay.
Bombay. So born and brought up in Bombay.
Yeah, born and brought up. Vrinda's from Delhi, so we're here visiting. Not visiting. We came for all the different podcasts and everything, and for your podcast. Looking forward to it. We were waiting, and we tried. I think both of us tried a couple of dates, and finally,
It's here.
it's
So
happened. So yeah, it's been good.
super. So, Shivam before we start, I'd love to understand what does your name mean, Shivoham? I know that you changed it a few years back. So, what made you change it? And इसका मतलब क्या है?
Oh, it's a long story. But when I met Vrinda, my wife, when I met her, um, she used to speak a lot about spirituality and she used to speak about Shiva a lot. And she had a fitness training studio, and I used to conduct some CrossFit classes and TRX classes over there.
जी.
And before the class began, I used to just go a little bit early because the coffee in her studio was amazing. So I used to, because I'd just come back from Australia. So, of course, Melbourne culture, Australian culture was coffee, all about
जी.
coffee. So having coffee, and then she used to talk about all of this. And one day she asked me, like, why do you sit and listen? Like, you don't even have so much to share. You don't really say much. I said, no, whatever you're saying just feels right. It just feels good. It touches something. And of course, the conversations went on, and my interest, my curiosity in, I won't even say spirituality because I don't think there was any spirituality at that time, but my interest in Shiva and the crazy thing is that I already had a Shiva tattoo way before I met her.
Really?
And I had Om Namah Shivaya
Can
written
I
on my
see?
arm. The Om Namah Shivaya is written here. The Shiva tattoo is over here. And this was way before, because I think in the sixth or seventh standard, a Jyotish, basically a Pandit told me and my dad that you have Pitru Dosh, so just chadao milk to Shiva every Monday. And we started doing that. And then even when I continued doing it even when I went to Australia. So
You
I,
found a Shiva temple.
no, the funny thing is, I didn't, because I was like, Acha, so now I'm going to Australia. What am I supposed to do? She said, so I'll make you a yantra. So he made me a Shiva yantra, and I carried that with me.
Wow.
And every Monday morning outside my balcony, I'd pour milk on it.
Lovely, lovely. Where there's a will, there's a way. So,
Absolutely. And I mean, I was just doing it out of habit.
ji.
It's not that I started listening to any chants or thinking deep about it. I was just doing it. And my neighbors would actually wonder, why do you pour milk on a picture, on a photo frame? So yeah, it started there, and then that's where I got Om Namah Shivaya. And funny thing is, when I went to get the tattoo, or when I decided to get the tattoo, I didn't even know what Shiva looked like.
Really?
I mean, it was always just going to the mandir and putting milk over the Shivling,
Ji,
but I never really noticed any pictures of Shiva. And then I started Googling Shiva, and then I finally got a picture of his done. And even he evolved with me. It was a little boy Shiva, and then he got the beard and everything. He became more mature as
Oh,
well.
so it's grown with
It's
you
grown
over
with
the
me.
years.
I think he's made me grow. So then, of course, then I met Vrinda, and the conversations went on, and then it got really, really intense to a point where I stopped going out. I'd just sit at home. I just listen to Shiva chants, and then I finally met my guru as well. Vrinda introduced me to him, and I had my name written over here. And this was during Kal Ho Na Ho, when I was shooting for Kal Ho Na Ho. We were in New York, and the last day, and then of course when this whole journey began, I said I want to get rid of this name. She said, why? I said, because it carries with itself an identity, it carries with itself a personality, it carries with itself memories who people associate with. But I'm not that person anymore, and that's not the person I want to be anymore. I don't want to. It's drinking, partying, all of that. I'm not interested in any of that. She said, okay, so then what are you gonna call yourself? I said, I don't know. Name will come. So, anyways, I went and covered the name up, and then I remember we were in the gym, and I was doing push-ups, and somehow the chant came Chidananda Rupa Shivoham Shivoham, the Nirvan Shatak, and I said Shivoham. I said
Wow.
that's the name, and Vrinda already had the tattoo of Chidananda Rupa Shivoham Shivoham.
She
So
already had it.
yeah, she already had it. So I
Wow.
think uh, somewhere her tattoo and then the chant and everything kind of subconsciously the name
Came.
Shivoham was there. And she's like, you know what Shivoham means, right? I said, not really. She said, Shivoham is not a name, it's a state of being. It means I am Shiva.
Wow.
So even when you're saying Shivoham or you're calling out to me, you are saying I am Shiva.
I'm saying I am Shiva,
Yes.
even if I'm saying Shiva home.
Yes. So it's like it's benefiting the person who's even saying the name.
ब्यूटीफुल सो यू एक्चुअली आपके लिए ये केवल इट वाजंट कि मैं अपने नाम चेंज कर रहा हूँ
Hmm.
यू एक्चुअली वर रिमूविंग योर सेल्फ फ्रॉम
Yeah.
योर ओन पर्सनैलिटी
Yeah.
एक वो जो कनेक्शन होता है विद दैट आई विद दैट ईगो
Correct. I mean, ego is still there, but then of course Vrinda said, okay, Shivam is a great name, but your guru has to approve of it. Because again, in this path as well, when you do decide to change a name, and you do decide to take on a more spiritual name or something like that, then your your Sadguru has to approve of it. So we were sitting in the ashram with Gurunath, and this was very much early on. And he said, hey buddy, what's your name? So I said, Gurunath. Then I looked at Vrinda. I said, should I say my previous name? Should I say my new name? So I said, Gurunath Shivoham. So he said, wasn't your name something else? I said, yes, Gurunath. I decided to change it, and I would love to with your blessing. He said, yeah, keep it. It's a good name. So of course
गो अहेड
he gave the approval, and that was it. It was Shivam from there on. And then it took a while for me to get people to call me Shivam, because of course a lot of people knew the earlier name. My mom, my brother, mom took a long time, but eventually she came around. Brother still introduces me as Shivoham, but to me, of course, he doesn't really say Shivoham, but that's fine. But we had this big whiteboard in the gym, and I said, if anyone calls me by my earlier name, you're gonna do like 10 burpees, and you're gonna like write on that board like his name is Shivoham. And of course, people kind of entertained that idea, and they even wrote it 10 times and all of that. It was quite interesting. But yes, everyone. So people who knew me, it took them a little while, but all the new people who I got to know after that moment, for them it was
You know, it's again so beautifully said, शिवम जी. साइकोलॉजी में बोलते हैं हम लोग हमेशा ये सोचते रहते हैं कि हम क्या नहीं करें.
correct.
यू नो लॉट ऑफ टाइम्स वी कीप थिंकिंग अच्छा सोशल मीडिया मत देखो, डूम स्क्रोलिंग मत करो, ये मत करो. एंड आई रियलाइज इन माई लाइफ कि इंस्टेड ऑफ दैट इफ़ यू कॉन्सेंट्रेट ऑन वॉट यू शुड डू, अगर आप पॉजिटिव चीज़ें करने लग जाओ, मुझे सुबह उठना है, एक्सरसाइज करना है, वर्कआउट करना है, पढ़ाई करनी है, पॉडकास्ट करना है, आप उसे काम से भरिए. So automatically it becomes easier because your life then prioritizes the
Correct.
positives. So I think what you're also saying is beautiful कि जब आपने positivity से भरा,
Hmm.
so the negatives kind
It
of
is
go out.
correct.
So instead of obsessing all the time on, I don't want to smoke, I don't want to do this, I think if you just shifted that mindset
Correct.
into what I actually want to do, you'll see that
Absolutely.
kind of,
Like when Brinda teaches manifestation, it's you don't have to. She says you don't have to write, "I don't want to do this." You write the opposite in a positive way. So it's always, I am this. Everything is in the positive way, everything is in the future tense. You write that. You never include the words don't. So I don't want to smoke. No, I am just a very healthy, vibrant, strong, positive human being. So,
and that you start embodying
yeah.
that as a thing. Shivam, before I get into this journey, I want to go back, to you as a child. You spoke about कि आप शिवलिंग पे दूध चढ़ाते थे. um, कैसा था आपका चाइल्डहुड? व्हाट वाज योर रिलेशनशिप विद योर फादर? क्या आपकी फिटनेस की जर्नी वहाँ से आई? और व्हाट वाज योर लर्निंग?
So today, when I'm doing fitness and I'm talking about lifestyle, what we've learned, and it's a very cool research and knowing that all your mitochondria, which is responsible, literally responsible for the health and well-being of your body, comes from your maternal side.
From your maternal side,
Yeah,
mother's side, not
no.
your
So
father.
so mitochondria is basically inside the cell. It's a small little organelle which is responsible for energy management.
जी.
It receives triggers from your environment. It feels those triggers, receives those signals. It tells the nucleus in the cell, the DNA, to behave in a certain way. The DNA behaves in a certain way, sends out the information to the rest of the body, and the body behaves.
जी.
So that entire mitochondria, and when you see about it logically, it makes sense that this particular system of the body needs to come from one source. It cannot be a mix, otherwise, confusion would already arise.
जी.
Every time we talk about fitness and everything, mom goes, well, where do you think you got your genes from? So clearly, thanks to mom for the healthy mitochondria and the energetic mitochondria and
जी.
everything. So that's there. But dad also was into exercise. My dad is basically he was born and brought up in Africa, living in, Kenya. He was a wildlife photographer.
Wow.
So spent a lot of his childhood in Masai Mara, Serengeti, clicking pictures and just being free, literally born wild. And I still remember when I used to go swimming, he the Kharjim Khana or the club had a very small gym. This is like, I don't know, 40 years back or something. So working out wasn't like that, but it had a very small gym. And I still remember going to pick him up or saying, okay, I finished my swimming, let's go home. I'd sit there and I'd see him training, and then there'd be the other guys kind of doing the biceps and this and that. And somehow I did get influenced by his biceps and his
तो
training. So
हमेशा आपने देखा हुआ है
yes,
your
it was
father.
always there, and so he was the one. So mom and dad used, because I was a competitive swimmer. I started swimming at the age of 5, competing at the age of 5. So mom was the one who used to take me to all the competitions. Dad is the one who used to take me in the morning for coaching at
Yes.
5 o'clock in the morning, 5 a.m. So he's the one who used to wake me up at 5 a.m. and we used to catch the BST bus, go for swimming, all of that. So both of them have had a very important part to play, and it's I think naturally I was just good at swimming, so I didn't have to try too hard to be a
तो
part of it. Started winning medals right from the start. Dad, I still remember, Dad would slap us or whatever, and literally after 5 minutes, and he would come and he was like, "Come here, what happened? Why did you do that? Why?" So it was a mix of both. It was that little harshness along with the
with that love
softness.
and affection
And,
ताकि आपको
and
you
yes,
learn that balance
it's,
between the two.
and I mean, yes, okay, today the world is different, and whether it's Gen Zs or Gen Alphas, it's different. But it's not a bad thing to get slapped once in a while for doing something wrong. It's not a bad thing. So
I mean, whether it teaches you.
it does.
It teaches you कि आप क्या ठीक कर रहे हो,
It
क्या
does.
गलत कर रहे हो.
And
It
maybe
humbles you.
some kids they listen when, like, we know when dad looked at us and he said no,
You're like
we would
yeah,
like
like that.
little
No,
cats, like just
is
with a tail between the legs, we'd like run away. So that, sometimes it wasn't always contact, but that voice, that assertiveness, and the eyes was enough for us to like just, okay,
I know. I get it. I can
that's
feel
a warning.
it.
That's a warning.
I better. So great. So growing up, being a swimmer, Melbourne, being a trainer, how did acting happen for you?
Oh,
How did you
that was a fluke.
land up as Frankie in Kal Ho Na Ho?
That was a complete fluke. And because I was, anyways, doing a little bit of modeling in college. And Puneet, a friend of mine, Puneet Malhotra, who was the casting director, he said, come down, there's this role and all of that. And I went. And one day, then the second time, then the third time. And then he said, you're selected. And I mean, he said, you're selected because your look fits the part, not because you can act that great.
And I've
But
heard कि उस टाइम आपका लाइफस्टाइल और फ्रैंकी का
oh,
लाइफस्टाइल
it was very,
काफी सिमिलर
it
था.
was, it was, it was. I still remember we were in New York, and I uh, literally had a ball of, like, I had a ball. It was amazing. I I would disappear. I'd meet friends, and I'd go out, and all of that. It was amazing.
I look forward to it. I
Yeah,
think it's a
me too.
fascinating story
Me too.
that I'm hoping to cover in this conversation. But how did fitness become such a massive driving force in your life? Matlab, was there an event, an occasion? Like, how
No,
did you
see.
decide that this is it?
So fitness as well. I was in Australia, and I was working for a fitness chain selling gym memberships.
Ji.
And I heard that the chain was coming down to India, and I said, you know what? I know the sales part of it. Let me learn the training side of it. And they actually paid for my training and all of that. I finished my training. I started working as a fitness coach, and the first client I took, I was like, this is it. I mean, this is what I want to do, because somewhere I have already been doing this, whether it's in Bombay or wherever, because of swimming or because of training or whatever, my body did develop a little bit quicker than the other people.
Ji.
So people would ask, my brother would ask, "Hey, what are you doing? What am I supposed to do for biceps?" I said, "Look, come, let's go train together." But that time, being a fitness trainer was
A thing.
not even a thing.
Right.
So it's like when I told my mom I'm going to be a fitness trainer, she's like, "You're going to be a fitness trainer? What am I going to tell my family? You're going to be a trainer?" Because that time the concept of being a fitness trainer was very different. It was not it was not about a kid coming from a decent household who wants to be a fitness trainer. It was not that. So that was it. After my first client, I realized, I said, this is what I want to do. And then by default, everything fits so beautifully because I didn't need to be disciplined to wake up early. Even when I was studying in Australia, I went there to study animation. I used to wake up at 5:30. I used to go to the gym, finish my gym, uh, catch a bus, go to university, come back from the university at 5, work in a supermarket from 5 to 10. At 10 o'clock, I'd go to a restaurant right next door, wash dishes for like 2, 3 hours. I do that, wash like 300, 400 dishes every night, and then wake up again at 5:30 and repeat.
It's lovely because, often जब हम fitness की बात करते हैं, it's often people, and especially I think Gen Z, वो fitness is something that they use to fix themselves. Jab life is crashing,
Correct.
I mean, so many Gen Z I talk to, 90% of the time they're like, I went through a bad breakup, I lost a job, and fitness शायद एक तरह का survival skill है that you are running towards to help you build your life up.
And I don't blame them. I mean, it somewhere is
Right.
because it teaches you so much, provided you want to learn. Lifting weights is not easy. Feeling that pain the next day or even during your workout is not easy. Pushing yourself when your body wants to stop is not easy. Doing that every single day, and I promise you, I'm not lying. I was working out and I saw some really young kids training and, kind of looking in the mirror, and there was nothing. There was like this little bump on the bicep. And I was like, oh my God. I said, I can't even remember, because if I had to do all that again, I don't know if I'd be able to, because you need so much patience.
Right.
For the first 1 or 2 years, you're not even going to see anything. Yes, you see your moods change, you feel good, your strength improves, but physically, it takes time for the body to build. So honestly, hats off to every single, whether it's Gen Z, Gen Alpha, millennials, whoever, when they start working out, but to continue doing it every single day, not because they know they're going to see results, not tomorrow, not a month, not a 3 month, maybe a year, but to stay at it for a year to stay at anything for a year is not easy, especially today.
Which I'd love to get into this a little bit more. आपने बहुत अच्छी बात बोली is um, this mindset, and typically आज के दिन even if someone gets a gym membership or gets into fitness, there is that uh, bias जहाँ पे आपको instant gratification चाहिए. So even if you're going to the gym, it's like 3 महीने में weight कितना कम होएगा, muscles कब
Correct.
बनेंगे, and and really as someone who's fitness is a very very important part of my life. Ultimately like everything else, ये एक ऐसा skill है that will compound over time. What would you recommend to someone 20s 30s कि आप चालू कैसे करो, and what is some practical expectations when you're getting in this journey?
See, this is a very important thing you said, compounding. And this is an example I give in all my webinars. I am not good at finance at all. But I do understand one thing, that when I was 1 year old or when I was born, I remember that, or I remember being told that parents started an FD or whatever,
जी
mutual
जी
fund
जी
or whatever. So when you see, that's the concept. Someone can, at different times of their life, somebody can start it with 10 rupees, somebody starts it with 100 rupees, somebody starts it with 1,000. It all completely depends on every single person's ability at what they can give.
hmm
And they know for a fact that till you're 18, don't touch it, because they know it will build up. Fitness is exactly the same thing. You start today, start with 10 minutes.
hmm
Let the body get used to it. Let it first become a routine. Okay, I'm waking up. I tell people, I said, wearing your shoes and getting ready for the gym, getting in the car, driving through traffic, going to the gym, that's the hard part. Once you're in the gym, it's very easy.
right
So it's literally getting to the gym that's difficult. So try to make that into a routine by having an expectation that I just need to do 10 minutes. Wear your shoes, whatever, go down to the building, just walk for 10 minutes. That's it. Just take a stroll, come back, shower, get ready for work, and go. Once a week, 2 weeks down the line, that becomes a routine. From 10, go to 15, 15, go to 20. Once you reach 30, then you can start adding some weights. And then eventually from the house, you make your way to the gym. But the point is that, yeah, maybe someone doesn't really need 10 minutes. Maybe they can go straight to the gym. Like we were discussing earlier, ev- out of every single person alive on this planet, there are no two people who are alike, even when it comes to twins.
right
Every single person is completely a unique individual, born with certain conditioning, certain karma, certain sanskars, a temperament, a different mindset. Everything is unique. So, what works for one person is not going to work for the other person. But the basic is start somewhere and start anywhere which is comfortable. There are people who can jump in the deep end and then they will learn to swim.
right
But there are people, like I used to teach swimming in Australia, right from infants up to 18-year-olds. And How we used to teach infants was very cute. The parents would come with the child and they would sit in the pool, and the child would be sitting on the lap, and I'd be in the water, because of course the child needs to get
Right.
comfortable with you and who I am and why am I always around. And then we take this little basket with these holes like a chani, and we just hold it over the child's head just to get them used to water.
Hmm.
We do that, and then the father gets in the pool with the child. I'm still around, I'm not touching the child, I'm just walking around. Then the father gives me one hand, the child becomes comfortable, then the father gives me both the hands, and the father stays away. Then the father goes outside the pool, and then I'm completely in control. So for a lot of people, this would be the steps.
Right.
It would literally be starting off with the most comfortable environment in which you feel no threat whatsoever. And there was another girl I remember. She would jump and she would go straight down to the bottom and she'd just stay there. And I'd be
Wow.
like, "Excuse me, your daughter, she doesn't want to come up." She's like, "She'll be fine, don't worry. When she gets out of breath, she'll just come up to the top." So there's everybody. There's that extreme, and then there's everybody in between.
And you have to figure out ki aap, where are you? You know, you were talking about this earlier, and I'll bring this up. Is again, I love fitness. I've done a high rocks. I've done a marathon, and again in the Gen Z article, instead of meeting for tea, coffee, you meet people at bhag clubs, at running clubs. So fitness has become a flex, it's become a trend. Subh, sham, raat, you are getting reels of training karni hai, bhagna hai. If you're not in athleisure, if you're not doing the Pilates class, if you're not doing that, boxing class, the hit class, you're not doing something right. So my question um, is it good? Because at some level आप ये सब देखते हो, attract हो जाते हो, so you end up doing it. शायद नहीं होता तो excitement नहीं होता, you might not have got into it. But what do you think about these trends?
I feel it's fantastic, but there is a warning. There's like the fine print as well. What is your purpose? For someone who you know is finding it very difficult to get into movement, activity, and their life depends on it, take whatever crutch you need. Bhag club, this club, that club, whatever. Take it. Take the crutch. It's like you're in the water, you're drowning. Hold on to whatever you get. But eventually, you will have to leave that and go to shore, no? So, point being that initially take the crutch, but then understand what your purpose is. I've been into it since the age of 5, swimming, water polo, this, that, competing in CrossFit, everything, doing a half Ironman. We went for the Everest base camp, the Annapurna base camp, and that's it. I mean, I had all these things on my bucket list:
Right,
skydiving, bungee jumping, all of that. It's out. Because when you ask yourself the purpose, why are you doing it?
right,
Are you doing it because it is going to make you feel good? Are you doing it because it is going to help you lose weight? Are you doing it because it is making you feel like you belong somewhere as a part of a community? Are you doing it because you're just bored and you're looking for a new experience? And unfortunately, this is what happens.
mm,
You start something with the right intention. You want to train for the high rocks because training for the high rocks will make you lose weight, but at the same time, it will give you a purpose. It will allow you to feel confident about yourself that you completed a competition. Where you were such an introvert, here now you're a part of a club. It's given you exposure, amazing. But now, if you if that disappears, that purpose disappears, because now you've achieved it.
right,
You've become confident. You've lost your weight. But now you start कि ये काफ़ी नहीं है, now something else. So fat loss then, or community or confidence, every single reason that because of which you started that particular activity, now all those reasons become excuses for you to find something different. What did we say earlier? You stick at it and you go at it every single day, and then finally after a year, after 2 years, you see your body transform. Why? Because you had a routine. You didn't jump one day from weight training, next day CrossFit, third day kettlebell, then animal flow, then pala. You stuck at it.
लेकिन वो बोरिंग होता है,
Exactly.
वो
And
फिर
that
सेम
routine,
चीज करना पड़ता है
and
रोज.
and that routine is boring.
राइट.
But the routine is what got you the result. So Vrinda and I keep talking, and we say being bored is, and we don't say bored, we say productive boredom or constructive boredom is actually a superpower. To be able to just sit, get bored without thinking, what can I do next, is actually a superpower. So, again, there is nothing wrong in all these competitions and being a part of all these clubs and everything. But remember, just make sure you don't lose the purpose because of which you started. And after a while, you won't even need that because you've achieved it. For us, I mean, being somebody who started a community, CrossFit, this, that, franchises, competitions, we used to have one of the India's biggest competitions called Shifit Battle of the Fittest. We did it for almost 6 to 7 years. 500 athletes would come from all across India. They take part in powerlifting, weightlifting, CrossFit, all of that. Now to working out in a 10 by 10
नहीं, that's what I
space.
asked you first कि आप दिल्ली में आपने कहाँ ट्रेनिंग
Yes.
की, right? Like I was like, what
Fitness
was
Fest is right next door
right?
where we stay. Ambience Mall, Fitness Fest is right there. I remember going there 3, 4 visits before. Then from the last visit, I said, this room is enough. It's giving me what I need. I'm doing my 40 minutes of weights with the cable. I'm not even touching the dumbbells. I'm only using the cables. And then 10 minutes of a little bit of functional with the kettlebell. And I'm done. My purpose of training is accomplished. I didn't need to be in a fancy place with flickering disco lights and loud music and fancy equipment. I mean, he's got equipment which you probably and I have all never heard the name of, but it gets the job done.
So it's amazing. So what I'm actually what I'm actually listening और जो मुझे सुनाई दे रहा है is here's the man who got CrossFit into India. Here's the man who's done Ironmans, who's training celebrities, and who's actually saying, and there are tons and tons of people जो बोलते हैं कि हमारे पास तो fitness के लिए time ही नहीं होता. But what I'm really listening is कि आपको time नहीं चाहिए. You don't need that 1 hour, 2 hours, 3 hours, and शायद आप दे रहे हैं, then that is maybe more of a distraction,
It is.
or you trying to just keep yourself
It is.
busy or entertained, because genuinely your body can manage with a lot less if you just know कि आपका target क्या है, आपका goal क्या है, आपका purpose क्या है.
Absolutely. I mean, I train now only 3 days a week. 3 days I do weights, 3 days I do swimming. I fast, do my intermittent fasting 3 days. I eat properly on 3 days. But there is a purpose behind all of it. There is a purpose behind fasting on days that I swim. There is a purpose that I swim for 30, 40 minutes, zone 2 cardio, very relaxed. There is a purpose I do my an hour of weight training, full body, whatever it is, lift heavy. There is a purpose behind every single thing. Otherwise, it's very easy to get distracted today. Training is one of it. The TV, social media, everything. You can engage. You don't have dearth of things that you can engage yourself in. It's everywhere you look. You want to start a new hobby, you can start a new hobby. No one's going to question you. But why? What's the purpose? Unless and until you like, and I'm saying all these because I've experienced these conversations with Vrinda when I somewhere wasn't done with competing and I wanted to compete again in CrossFit. And I told her, I'm 40, I want to compete in Masters. She said, what's your purpose? I said, I don't know. I just have competed all my life. That's just conditioning.
It's conditioning, मजा आता है.
मजा आता है. It'll force me to work a little bit
Yeah,
harder.
अभी I'm being lazy, but if I've signed up for
Correct.
it, then मैं
Not
train
even lazy,
करूँगा.
but it's just that I've been training.
Right.
every single day, but it'll just give my training a little purpose. You're like, but and the trick is to ask your every time you answer, ask yourself the same question again and again, till you go deeper and deeper and deeper, and you reach a point where you understand that you want to train so that you feel good about it and people respect you.
ब्यूटीफुल राइट तो आई थिंक आपने ये आइडेंटिफाई किया कि माय पर्पस इज कोचिंग
Is coaching,
एंड
is
दैट
teaching.
पर्पस इज गेटिंग impacted or affected if I'm on this race
On the other side of the coin.
तो कहीं ना कहीं आपको रुक के ये सोचना पड़ेगा कि मेरा अल्टीमेट पर्पस क्या है एंड देन वर्क बैक वर्सेस जस्ट फॉलोइंग ट्रेंड्स like we
Exactly, and that's why everybody starts with the right purpose: losing weight, health, wellness, this, that. But kahin na kahin, they lose that purpose and they get carried into wherever the crowd is going. आज ये क्लब, आज वो क्लब कर लिया, ये कम्युनिटी कर ली, वो कम्युनिटी कर ली, चलो लेट्स कंपेयर डेटा.
I know whoops like I think whoop buddies
Oops.
is one of the
But
biggest thing.
it's, see, again, I agree that man is a social animal. He needs to socialize. He needs to feel like he belongs somewhere. And there's no doubt about that. There is nothing wrong in it. In that, also, when you become a part of the community, you'll speak about your data for what, 5 minutes? After that, what do the conversations go to?
क्या खाए
Completely irrelevant and not concerned with the data at all. When scientists get together, yes, they sit down, they see data, they analyze it, they do all that. It makes sense.
so data almost वो एक flex हो गया है कि अब
Correct.
you are going through it but without really understanding
Everyone's doing it.
what how where
Correct.
etc. You talked about what do people talk about and I think one of the things we love talking about is Bollywood and आपने बहुत काम किया है with Bollywood stars and Bollywood काफ़ी हद तक define करता है how we see fitness whether it is the six pack ab the zero figure आपको क्या लगता है कि Bollywood how many times has it got this idea of fitness right and how many
Bollywood doesn't
times
care about.
as it messing up the heads of the younger generations.
Bollywood is not doing that. Bollywood is doing its job. That is what film and entertainment is about. If I am entertaining the audience, I need to look a certain way, I need to be a certain way, my hair needs to be a certain way, my clothes need to be a certain way, I need to sing a certain way, dance a certain way. That is entertainment.
Right.
Bollywood never said, come be like me. Tiger Shroff, Vidyut Jamwal, whoever are known as people of health and fitness in the industry, they didn't say, come, I will coach you. They are doing what they're doing for their profession. It's our fault that we get influenced. So I don't blame and I don't say anything against Bollywood, not because I work with them, but because it's a completely different profession.
And beautiful and thank you so much for sharing this because एक बहुत important point है कि हम स्क्रीन पे देखते हैं लोगों को देखते हैं हमें लगता है बहुत आसान है हम भूल जाते हैं कि उसके पीछे कितनी मेहनत लगी है the hours the dedication showing up going through the pain not giving up I'd done a podcast with Sushmita Sen and she, उनसे बात करने में she had a heart attack and 15 दिन बाद she was back on the sets of Anya and I was like how did you do it and she's like "Fam, मेरे पे there were 300 people waiting for me on set मतलब I couldn't afford to be
Exactly.
unwell so there is a lot of dedication and
There is. It's responsibility. They know their purpose, they have clarity, and they are responsible. Like I've trained Sushmita, so I know. I mean, she is strong, not just physically, but mentally. She is so strong.
little bit digressing we've talked a lot of fitness I think one of the thing while we talk about health इसका एक negative भी होता है we see a lot of young people these days have heart attacks जहाँ पे वो लगते बहुत फिट हैं, और either they have over exerted, or while they've looked at the aesthetic markers, शायद internal markers were off. So what is something that a young adult should be careful of when they're on this fitness journey? Any red flags that you feel सबको measure करना चाहिए before they start out or while they're training?
In Ayurveda, they say every single disease is psychosomatic. Every single illness, maybe 99.9%, start in the mind. It starts at the level of thought, it starts at the level of emotion. And when you think about this makes so much sense because, yes, some people's lives are difficult and they go through a lot, which is causing them stress and everything. But at the same time, it is their mind and how they perceive a particular situation that makes them feel either better or neutral or worse. So, suppressing emotions, not being able to communicate with people, emotionally having some kind of trauma in your childhood, or even when you're growing up, not getting the kind of respect you want from people. Physically, no, but emotionally, it starts becoming very heavy on your system. And when it starts becoming heavy on the system, like we spoke about the mitochondria, thoughts and emotions are very easily and clearly felt by the
Hmm.
mitochondria. So, again, thoughts and emotions are one aspect, and your nervous system is the other aspect. There are only two things that literally signal your body either to become better or to become worse. One is either you're in a state of safety or you're in a state of survival or threat. So, completely from your environment, the food, the people you hang out with, the content you watch, the amount of exercise you do, how you sleep, even to the point where the kind of conversations you're having, the kind of mental chatter that is going, is either telling your body that you're safe or is telling your body that you're in a threat mode, a survival mode. When you're safe, the body wants to grow, wants to repair. Safety means that, hey, there's nothing to worry about. We have a lot of energy. Let's utilize that energy towards well being. Let's heal the body. Let's heal the system. If you're doing weight training, let's grow the muscle. If you're in a threat mode, then everything is about scarcity.
Hmm.
Everything is about, I don't know if I'm going to get food next. I don't know what's going to happen. Maybe there's going to be a war. Maybe there's going to be a fight. Let's conserve. Let's hold on. Let's conserve the energy as much as possible. Automatically, you start gaining weight, you get gaining fat, and a lot of other things start going wrong within the body. So, if you're all, why do health retreats and these places and sound and all of that, why do they work? Because they are exposing you to an environment and frequency which promotes safety.
Hmm.
Everything is about you being safe. So just chill, relax, listen to music, drive your car, do whatever you have to do, the work that you need to. There is no point stressing about it and fretting about it.
क्यों नहीं हुआ, कैसे नहीं हुआ, क्या
Exactly.
हुआ?
And this, I feel, is literally the cause of something going wrong within the body, which is then waiting for that trigger. So it's not happening because of workouts. It could be overtraining, could very easily be a reason. But it's if you're overtraining, clearly there is imbalance in other aspects of your life as well. You're over dieting, you're over cautious, everything is over. There's no balance. And then finally in the gym, you decide to do something crazy. And if it's your time,
That's when it cracks and it breaks. जब हम डेथ की बात करते हैं तो डर लगता है. Even when I say it, there's almost this sense of fear, and हम हमेशा avoid करते हैं बात करना, talking about it, to the extent that a lot of times people don't even want to make their wills, कि you don't want to think about that negative connotation aspect. But you have spoken how over the years your relationship with belief of death has completely changed. And how did that happen, and what do you believe?
Um, I of course don't know what to believe because I've never been in that state to experience it. But what I do know is that when Vrinda used to mention the word death, and I used to be like, don't talk about it. Why are you talking about death and all? And then I met my guru, Yogi Raj Gurunath Siddhanath, and when when a disciple and a guru have a you know they kind of build a bond from a spiritual perspective. And when you believe that no matter what happens, you know that your Sadguru is always going to be there for you, be with you. And when he speaks, he's written such beautiful poems on death and his philosophy, his because he is a living master, a Kriya Yoga master. And for those people who believe or who practice spirituality and who believe in the ancient wisdoms and in the concept or the idea of samadhi, they know what that is. It's like experiencing death while you're still alive. But for me, I don't need to hear any more poems. I don't need any more uh, intellectual stuff. I just know that my guru is always going to be with me. And when you have that kind of faith in that higher being in your guru, then something like that doesn't worry you because then and I've got a tattoo over here which says, which are his words, which are Gurunath's words, मैं दे नहीं मैं आत्मा हूँ. And this is again something, an affirmation that we do when we wake up, an affirmation that we do when we go to bed, which is again something that he's asked us to do, which is, I'm not this house of flesh and bones that sleeps, decays, and dies. I am the eternal consciousness, Lord of the earth and skies. And when you repeat it that many times, and it's like a guru mantra.
Mhm.
A guru mantra has prana, has uh, power, has conviction. So when it comes straight from the word of from the mouth of your guru, then you just believe it. So I don't think people are afraid of death. I think they are afraid of the suffering that comes with it
Right.
or before it. That's basically where, I mean, till where my understanding
And
of it
जब
is.
आप accept कर लेते हो, when you get rid of that fear of death,
Hmm.
does that change the way you live life?
Of course. I mean, it's not that people fear death every day. Today might be the last day, or today might be, but nobody knows when their last moment is.
Mhm.
Then people say, "अरे एक ही तो जिंदगी है, let's live it. क्या मालूम कल हो ना हो." So, but when people say that, for some people, that moment, okay, it's one day, one life, let's live it. For them, it might be, again, no judgment, but everyone is in their own journey. And for some people, that might be partying. For some people, that might be adventure or traveling. For someone, that might be competition or competing. I don't know about anyone else, but I can very confidently say that for me, it is that this is one life to reach or to know what my master feels, what divinity is. Because he very clearly has said the only purpose of man's sojourn on this earth is to seek God. And for someone who believes that, then every day is literally an attempt in your sadhana, in your spiritual practice, to reach there. एंड वो भी कर रहे हैं. आई मीन आई डोंट नो प्रोग्रेस हो रहा है नहीं हो रहा है. माय गुरु नोज.
But do you feel closer जो आपकी साधना है through your
Of course,
work?
I feel very close to my guru.
You
I can
feel
feel, and he
and you
says, I'm a presence, I am everywhere. If you want to feel it, if you want to feel me, I'm there for you. So for any disciple, any master, any disciple, any guru, any disciple, if they have a bond, they will feel each other's closeness and presence. And I feel my guru's presence in everything. And I know that no matter what the issue is or whatever the thing is, he's there. He'll look after me.
So, what a beautiful journey, Shivam. I think from starting out, from being a child, through your transformation, uh, to transforming other people, to this ultimate realization कि शायद ट्रांसफॉर्मेशन सबसे इम्पोर्टेंट अपनी ही है. इट्स ऑल इंटरनल. हम जितना भी बाहर देखते हैं, जितना भी एक्सटर्नल बॉडी पे वर्क करते हैं, अल्टीमेटली वी आर ओनली ट्रांसफॉर्मिंग आवर इनर सेल्फ
Oh, absolutely.
बिकॉज
That's what Guru Nath says. I mean, he's got such beautiful words of wisdom, pearls of wisdom. He says, from man the brute to man the man to man the God. And that is literally what total transformation is all about. Not just the six pack and the biceps.
no, love
And
that.
I mean, very interesting fact. He has been a bodybuilder.
Wow.
I have a picture of his as well. In 1979, 1969, of him posing in Ferguson College in Pune. He competed as a bodybuilder.
Wow.
He competed as a swimmer. He competed as a boxer.
Lovely. So एक mind body का there is a very deep connection
He says, I
that
mean, that was the time. You need to look after. People forget. Again, this is where purpose comes. The purpose of exercise was to maintain a healthy body so that you could sit for long hours in your sadhana and you could reach God. The purpose was not to the aesthetics. And even he did it at certain points in life that was there. But at some point, you need to understand that is why, even for me today, six packs, single digit body fat is not the purpose anymore. But if I can sit for as long as I need to sit without my back hurting, without my hips hurting, without any cramps, and I'm able to breathe properly and do my spiritual practice along with training and everything, then I've achieved my that aspect.
that
Because
journey.
now it आधी आधी उम्र तो निकल गई ना.
I'm sure that
I'm 44 now, so I mean, if you think about that, then half your life is over. So I think
lots more to for us to learn from. I'm pretty sure. Shivam, you have a really nice rapid fire before we wrap up. One guilty pleasure. I know there's no smoking, drinking, but what is that one guilty pleasure that you still haven't given up?
I honestly don't know.
Oh, come on.
I'm really trying to think. Food, nahi hai. Training is
Netflix.
nahi, nothing. Somewhere every now and then a little thing comes of shopping, buying some new pairs of shoes or pants or some earrings or whatever. So I think वो है, but yeah,
Too little. One fitness trend जो आप permanently delete कर देंगे
from my life or from history of
from
fitness.
history, from like in fitness.
No, I don't think there is anything worth deleting because everything has had its purpose and everything has been very significant in its own way. So I don't think that anything that has been created was wrong. It fit perfectly for a while till it kind of did its thing.
Favorite place or food that you will have on your cheat day?
Firstly, we don't call it cheat day, we call it treat day. Because again, it's when we spoke about positive and negative, the idea is to kind of remove the whole negative connotation of
Right.
cheat. So we call it treat. And I think we treat ourselves with either a pizza or an ice cream or chaat on a Sunday.
Lovely.
But yeah,
The most awkward thing a celebrity has asked you for help with?
no, nothing like that.
Nothing like that. One health tip जो लोग overcomplicate कर देते हैं for no reason.
A lot of them, but I mean, simple thing, weight training or cardio, everything is just done a little bit too much. So, I mean, of course, there's go in a lot of detail, but I mean, I would say weight training is overcomplicated
For no rhyme or
for
reason.
no rhyme or reason.
So before we had, you know, Ranveer Singh is supposed to have said that he didn't like that whole beastly look. And unhe, you know, he wanted that lean look. So,
Ranveer Singh or Kapoor?
sorry, Ranveer Kapoor said that he didn't want that beastly look, you know, for his role. तो आप उसको कैसे मैनेज करते हैं, you know, between wanting to go for what you look like in regular life versus something you might want to do on
Well,
screen?
having clarity again is very important. So, of course, I asked him right from the start, I said, what does your director want?
Right,
And what do you want? Because if the director is on a different page, you are on a different page, then it kind of doesn't work. So he said, gave me a couple of references, and this is where I would like to be. So, of course, we had a lot of playground, we had a lot of area to play with. So we started building what started going on, and as we thought we were getting closer, then it was all about, okay, I think size wise I've kind of reached my thing. Now let's, try and work a little bit more on the definition or the cutting. So that's what we did. It's literally like when you see, and I tell this to everyone, whether it's a trainer training as a client or a person training by themselves, weight training, cardio, functional training, keto, fasting, everything is like a tool in your toolbox. And when you are sculpting and you have a piece of wood, you won't start with the chisel. You'll first start with the jackhammer. You'll take off all the edges.
right,
As and when the sculpture starts getting closer to its finality, at that time you start using the most tiniest precision tools to kind of chip away, carve. So there is a tool for everything.
right,
And just as a person, you need, or as a coach, or as a general fitness enthusiast, you should know how to use what and when. Like if you're going to hammer a nail, and you need to know when to stop,
right,
because if you go too much, you might actually break that wood.
right.
So not going too hard, not going too much, just enough so that you can get to your result, your goal. So all of this weight training, HIIT, zone 2 cardio, ketogenic diet, intermittent fasting, protein, carbs, fat, sauna, steam, every single thing is literally a tool. And once you understand how to use them in what permutations and combinations for the person that you're working on, because that's going to be different for every single person, I think it's very easy to get to your goal.
Lovely. And बहुत beautifully आपने explain किया, you know, through this whole journey कि at the end of the day आपका purpose clean होना चाहिए. There needs to be clarity and then work backwards towards achieving that purpose versus running after vanity metrics, respect या doing something क्योंकि सब लोग कर रहे हैं.
Correct.
Understand yourself, understand your purpose, knowledge लीजिए, उतनी लीजिए जितनी ज़रूरत है.
जितनी ज़रूरत है.
And उसको actually use करिए to create this wholesome life versus over-indexing on one thing.
You summed it up very well.
Lovely. Thank you so much,
Thank you.
Shivoham. It's
Thank you.
been a fantastic conversation. I've learned so much.
Thank you so much.
And really, thank you for being here.